Warm welcome to a special episode of the SparkLab Podcast, hosted by the institution's Innovation Council (IIC). My name is Ravikant, and I have a special guest today. His name is Ramdas. Great to have you, Ram. Any welcome comments before we start off with your introduction?
Saram Ravikant, it's an absolute pleasure, delight, and I would say a blessing to be part of this, podcast with you. I think this is the inaugural debut cohort of Spark Labs, and it's a idea whose time has come. And in fact, I think it's a dream come true for a lot of us, alumni who have been, directly or indirectly working and supporting this.
Absolutely,
Looking
Ram.
forward to this conversation.
Absolutely, Ram. Same here. Very excited. Uh, so meet Dr. Ramdas, a mathematician by training and a tech entrepreneur by accident and a dreamer by choice, as he wants to brand himself to be. Now, with a PhD in fuzzy logic from SSSIHL and the Indian Institute of Science, Ram has seamlessly blended academic rigor with real-world impact over 3 decades. Now, starting his career as an assistant professor at Sri Sathya Institute of Higher Learning, he went on to lead pioneering work at TCS under the mentorship of Dr. F.C. Kohli, India's software industry pioneer. Now, Ram's entrepreneurial journey spans founding multiple ventures, including Herald Logic and WonderLend Hubs, a fintech platform focused on democratizing access to credit for India's next 500 million undeserved citizens. Now, his passion lies in simplifying complex systems through
Underserved. Yeah. Underserved segments.
Underserved citizens, yes. And his passion lies in simplifying complex systems through technology-led innovation, especially in financial services, alternate lending, and digital distribution ecosystems. With deep roots in mathematics, a passion for innovation, and a heart anchored in service, Ram embodies a rare blend of intellectual depth, entrepreneurial courage, and science-centered values. That's your intro, Ram. Anything else you want me to add?
I think that's a lot of words. Honestly, I'm humbled by the opportunity to be associated with Spark Labs and the Sri Sathya Sai Research Innovation Foundation and the council. I think these are exciting times for all of us. So for me, it's more about the excitement than what I have been doing for the last 30 years.
Absolutely, Ram. So 3 themes we're going to touch upon today, 3 questions. We're looking at bridging innovation across spiritual, social, and commercial domains. That's number one. We look at building entrepreneurial mindset in a values-based university. And finally, we look at nurturing rural and sustainable innovation from the Sai ecosystem. Before I begin with the first question, Ram, we were actually talking about it some time back. You were actually the founder members of the incubation center concept, which originated back in 2016, if I remember right. Can you take us through that particular journey? How exactly it started off, and your partnership and collaboration with Pallav sir, right from 2016 to until now? Just take 2-3 minutes and give us a view there.
Thank you for that. Very nostalgic, journey. Ravikant. I think 2016 was when my WonderLend Hub was actually starting up, and by that time. I had founded a previous, startup, I was already doing some boot camps for, entrepreneurs. And suddenly one day out of the blue, Dr. Pallav reached out to me and said, I have this Kida, I would say, that's what I think I like to call these, these kind of, I would say, inspirational kind of moments. He said, for the MTech students, both the DMAX as well as the physics, we had optoelectronics, MTech program as well. Can we do something like this, right, to encourage? And that's how it started. So we had a few, iterations. I think between December and January of that year, that academic year, I think across 6 or 8 weekends, every weekend I used to, kind of come down from Mumbai, spend Saturday, Sunday, very intense hours. And I think it was very exciting. I think it was I would say as educating for me as it might have been for the participants in the cohort. Pala was very excited. We did a season 2 of this kind of program with a slightly more expanded group who got associated with this, including NLS Murthy and a lot of others that were Ramnath, brother Ramnath also, supported me in the second season, doing this. And at that point in time, we all had an idea that the time has come for incubation to actually,
Hmm.
kickoff, in Puttaparthi in Prasanthi Nilayam. We had a meeting with the university administration. Yes, there were a lot of positive vibrations and sentiments. But I think all good things take time, right? And so from then 2016, 17 onwards, I think the seminal kind of or a game changing moment was the startup day celebration in 2024 in Parthi. Right? I think that that really achieved the objectives of why at a government level or at a country level we want to celebrate startup day. I think it spurred this whole momentum, and I think it gathered or accelerated, especially in the last few months, right? And a lot of the core team, Pawan Garu, NLS Murthy Garu, have been working with Pallav, and of course our new vice chancellor sir, that has Raghavendra Prasad. He was 1 year much senior. He's come in. So a lot of, I think, when the universe conspires to make things happen, as they say, right? When the intentions are there, and that's where we are now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Lovely to hear that, Ram. I think that helps everyone actually set the context in terms of where exactly it started and where exactly it is and where it's actually going. So coming back to the theme one, Ram, one of the questions around many startups today chase funding and valuation as primary success metrics. And how does the innovation ecosystem at Sri Sathya Institute of Higher Learning and IIC reframe success around purpose and service without losing entrepreneurial rigor?
No, this is a great question, Ravikant. I think it's as much relevant for SparkLab and SSRIF as it is for the larger, I would say, startup ecosystem in India and Bharat.
Sure.
And this is a subject I think I have been personally very passionate about. The value versus valuation, kind of, you can say, dichotomy or paradigm, if you want to call that, right? In fact, I think 7 or 8 years back, I had written a post. I can, share this with you. Maybe you may want to add that link to this, podcast when
Sure.
you publish it.
Yeah.
Um, uh, Fundamentally, if you see, I mean, why we want to create a enterprise is to add value to certain customer segment and as much as possible at scale. That's what I think excites almost every entrepreneur, whether you brand yourself as a social entrepreneur or otherwise, right?
Yeah.
It's all really about making impact, making a change for the better, of course, to the world that we live in, right? That is what excites, all founders, I would say, across the globe, in India, rural, urban or wherever, right? Valuation to me is a corollary. It is not a goal, right? It is just a corollary in terms of, the how it's one financial metric, I would say. As a founder, to be obsessed with valuation would be fundamentally, I think, you are doing a huge disservice to yourself, right? Value is about creating a product or a service offering that significantly adds value to the beneficiaries or the users or the customer segments, for whom that product or service has been created, and significantly more than what they are paying for, either directly or indirectly. And if you are able to do this at scale, that is what I think excites. That is the raison d'etre of any entrepreneur, I would say.
Yeah.
Customer obsession, I think, is the central kind of theme, I would say, around which you actually build value. Customer, obsess about your customer, love the problem that you are attacking. Value will then get, and if you have perseverance and focus, value will get created.
Yeah.
Valuation will then just be a numerical outcome.
Right. Absolutely. Very well said, Ram. I think as you speak, I wanted to take notes, but anyway, it's recording, so I'll do that maybe later. A lot of learning. I mean, I attended some of your sessions as well. Coming to the next one, Ram, in your experience, what early behavioral habits should founders or students build if they aspire to balance spiritual grounding with future entrepreneurial leadership, Ram?
Right. I would say there are three or four key things. I think they are very valuable. I would say behaviors or habits for everybody, all of us, human beings. I would say, but especially for entrepreneurs, I would say probably three things. And I think for me, I think these things are not something that I consciously taught myself,
Mm.
but these were just, ingrained by the, sheer, blessings of the experience that we had in, Brindavan, in Parthi. It's really an integrated, kind of a system that, we grew up in, right? That we were taught, right?
Yeah.
So I would say three things, right? Discipline, have the ability to do, things, however boring they may be, consistently, day in, day out, week in, week out. If you believe that activity or the task is important to be, done. Nothing is, nothing should be boring. Nothing should be, something that, you can outsource to somebody else. If it is a task or an activity that you as a founder should be doing. Second, I would say focus, right? I mean, there is a temptation, and this is true in almost any type of a, business, right? When you are, especially in the early stage, right, there will be a lot of different pushes and pulls, right, in multiple directions. But you need to keep your core, you can say North Star,
Mm.
and not deviate, from that, very, very significantly, right? Focus, the ability to say no to a lot of things
Yeah.
and just be focused on those one or two things where you should consistently be saying yes to, right? Third, I think perseverance, right? And I think for me, it's my own, been a personal journey. I've been a tech entrepreneur for 23 years. Sometimes what you think that you know really want to build takes time. You make a lot of mistakes. You have to do course corrections.
Mm.
As long as that you are clear about the North Star, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to continue on, on the journey, right? And I
Mm.
mean, we
Mm.
all have heard that, story of, you keep digging, for a well, you dig, many, many feet, right? And there is nothing, right? And then finally, somebody else comes and digs, 5 more feet and the water starts coming, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would say these three, in my opinion, are very core, habits that, all founders have to, kind of have it very at the
Mm.
core ingrained in themselves.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great insights there. And coming to the nurturing rural and sustainable innovation from the Sai ecosystem, Ram, do you believe IIC and SparkLab could become incubation models that inspire similar values-led rural entrepreneurship across India as part of nation building, Ram?
No, this again, I think is a wonderful, question. So I would say that it's probably the way I look at it. It's not necessarily rural versus urban. Ravikant.
Sure.
I think it is really, and I think I've shared this, during one of the sessions, even with this cohort, many years back, I think 2 decades back, I read this wonderful book by Professor C.K. Prahlad, called Fortune at the Bottom of the Pyramid, right?
Yeah.
So to think that a lot of this social kind of entrepreneurship or rural entrepreneurship or philanthropy would then you be an NGO, right? Then
Yeah.
you can run an NGO, which is perfectly okay. That's a very perfectly valid model for a lot of things, a lot of activities or segments of societies where certain services are required by the beneficiaries. But if you want to be an entrepreneur, whether you call it, as I said, social, all of us in some way, I would say, if you're focused on making an impact and a difference to people's lives, we are all social entrepreneurs in some way or the other, right? But especially if you look at the bottom of the pyramid, as Professor C.K. Prahlad likes to call it, right? That is where I would say the triad of research, innovation, and you can say entrepreneurship come together to deliver impact at scale, which actually becomes viable.
Yeah.
Our own, what we are trying to do, obviously we are still early stages, and we are trying to build a platform where you can democratize credit. Now, for example, today we have chaiwalas and all of these corner shops, where they have the QR codes, right?
Yeah.
Where they accept payments, maybe 10 rupees, 15 rupees, 20 rupees.
Mm.
Now, if you could actually, that is all getting digitized,
Yeah.
right? Now, if you can use that kind of digital trail and be able to do cash flow lending at scale to
Mm.
provide additional, kind of working capital finance to a lot of these segments, that's game changer, right? And it can actually be viable in the
Yeah.
sense that it need not be a philanthropic service that is being done, right?
Mm.
So by combining these two, and that's I think the heart of SSRIF and SparkLab, what is being done, right? And to be able to create support, find, create, and support entrepreneurs who can work on these kind of projects at scale. And I think that model. It's not completely new only to or unique only to that, but
Mm.
because of the ethos of the SSI institutions, I think the ability to actually inspire and create this at scale
Yeah,
can actually be a wonderful role model for, you can say, impact entrepreneurship in India.
absolutely, Ram. Thank you. Thank you for that. See, we almost done with SparkLab 1.0, I think around a week or so, and we do have quite some time before planning SparkLab 2.0. I actually want you to reflect and share your inputs in terms of how the planning was for SparkLab 1.0. The great things which have actually happened and the great things which might not actually have happened, which we can look at building up for SparkLab 2.0. So, any kind of insights you want to share uh, from a founder member perspective, from a leader perspective, in terms of how exactly it went, how were the quality of the mentees as such, according to you, the kind of projects they have actually chosen, and what can we actually do to do better in SparkLab 2.0 planning?
No, first of all, Ravikant, I think I'm as much a contributing member as many of us, the alumni. So I think I don't deserve to be called a founder member, necessarily in that sense, right? But I think the way the first cohort has been kind of put together, I think the amount of planning of all the entire kind of curriculum, the kind of projects that were or the founders that were selected for the core program, the way the whole curriculum or the course design was structured. And I would say, I mean, the highlight always, that is the power of Swami's institutions, right? The power of leveraging the alumni, kind of network to be able to contribute in multiple areas, right? I mean, I think these are all, and to be able to do this in a fairly short period of time. I mean, completely. I'm amazed at the what Palla, Pawan, NLS Murthy, Manish, and a lot of the core team have actually. Sai Sudha and Shweta and all of them, the core team. I would say, I think the effort that have gone in to actually pull all of this together in a very short span. I think that's a huge, I think achievement for the very first kind of quad. I'm sure there will be time to kind of reflect, get feedback from the cohort members as well. I think in the next week,
Hmm.
during the valedictory, we will, get more. But whatever, I think anecdotally, I've heard, from many of the, cohort members. I think they have more. Most of them have been, deeply, kind of transformed, so to say, through this, experience, and that's really the first step. This program is really like a pre-incubation program, right? And from this, maybe half a dozen come into the next phase to actually start. So the first step has already been taken, and that's always the most difficult one, right? And
Hmm.
now to be able to ease their journey into the next phase of maybe actual incubation, when they start actually working on the MVP and all of that. I think if we see that happening, over the next 2 or 3 quarters, I think that will also give us a validation of whatever has been done as part of this first cohort. But I'm truly excited. I think yes, there will always be room for improvement, but I think this has the debut program has been I would say an unprecedented kind of an achievement.
Absolutely, Ram. I think I agree with you 100% over there. I think thanks a lot for your insights, Ram. I think I'll pull you back again in another podcast sometime soon. Lovely talking to you. Any parting words before we end?
My, this is again, I've shared this earlier, but it's one of my, favorite quotes from Mahatma Gandhi. Find purpose, means will follow. I mean, most of the time, I think, we are afraid about that, about the means, right? I think, to get rid of that fear and, have the conviction that once the purpose is there, means will follow. And of course, that is kind of reinforced by what Martin Luther King says. I mean, these two are for me quotes that will never go out of my head, right? Take the first step. It's always about taking the first step.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Ram. Thanks so much for your time, and we'll meet again, Ram. Thank you so much. Sai Ram.
Thank you, Ravi.